Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wildes. We all sat down early this morning so I could give you one word, two syllables. This is for you, my friend Nick. Rondo. Rondo showed up last night, made Nick happy, I'm sure. Wildes was thrilled. Brandon is as well. And that is where we start this morning. Game 3 last night between the Lakers and the Rockets, and Rajon Rondo, Nick, finished 21-9. He showed up. And while both Harden and Russ did have big games, we talked about which one. It turned out it was both, but it wasn't enough because it wasn't as big as LeBron James. 36 points for the King and a bevy of highlights. Lakers get the win. They take a 2-1 series lead. For LeBron, a milestone night. He becomes the NBA's all-time leader in playoff wins with 162. That passes Derek Fisher. So, Nick, though, let's get back to this game. So what did you make of the Lakers taking a lead for the first time in this series over the Houston Rockets?
Oh, this was a monster win for the Lakers, and it took a monster LeBron James performance. Those 29 first-half points, that's the most points he has scored in a half of a playoff game since the single biggest, most important, and arguably best game of his entire career. The 45-15-5 in 2012 in Game 6 in Boston with the entire Miami blueprint on the line. That was his first half, and in the second half, you almost felt bad for Houston. LeBron seemed to be taking out his very deserved frustration of once again being snubbed on an all-defensive team by being the best defensive player alive for at least a quarter of basketball in that third quarter when he just kept punching rocket shots all about the crowd. The Lakers held Houston to 38 second-half points, and if you're Houston, this is a really tough pill to swallow. That in Game 2, you have a lead going into the fourth quarter. You make 22 threes. You hit over 40% of your threes. And you lose in Game 3. You're tied going into the fourth quarter. Russ plays excellent. Just his second game in the playoffs since Durant left the Thunder, where he's above 50%. The Rockets again shoot 40% or better from three. And you lose again. To add injury to insult, Robert Covington gets dinged. They were already short in their rotation because Daniel House wasn't there. Houston had to win one of these two games, shooting the way they did, volume in Game 2 with efficiency, Game 3 efficiency, plus what Russ did. The fact that they lost both because LeBron was so thoroughly dominant on both ends, and I must admit, because Rondo, or as I think Kevin Wildes is going to demand I call him forever now, playoff Rondo was really, really good. It is very hard to see, Brandon, how the Rockets can find playoff Rondo, how the Rockets can find 3 wins in the next 4 games, which is what they need to win this series, Brandon.
Listen, you're right. Rondo was good, but I thought LeBron James was brilliant, and his greatness was on full display for us. So I thought that was the most defining moment in his game, was how he started this whole game, and he started fast. But then I looked at Russell Westbrook, and I wanted to say that he was brutal. And I know you just said that he had an excellent game, Nick. But I thought about Rondo having what we call in football these drive-killing moments. What are drive-killing moments? They're when you're on a 5-play drive, 6-play drive. Drop pass by the wide receiver on third down. The offensive lineman jumps offside. He gets a terrible holding call, a penalty when it was like, wow, where did this come from? Quarterback throws interception. But the reality is Rondo did play good. There were some times in a moment where it's like, man, Rondo, if you just hit that shot, it would be that defining moment for us where we can really separate ourselves from the Lakers. But when you peel back the layers,
you're saying Westbrook
played
difference. Well. Got it.
Yes, but when you peel back the layers, this game was defined by the lack of participation on the offensive end by Eric Gordon and P.J. Tucker. Collectively, they scored 13 points, Wildes. And I think that was the defining moment for the Rockets not winning this game.
Yeah, you know, I said it all this week that the Rockets need to shoot 63s, and they've yet to do it. And my guy Russ is passing up threes where I'm the only person on earth that wants him to take him and want him to shoot out of it because I just think he's going to get to at least 30%, which is his career average. But I want to go back to the story of the day and maybe, Nick, your career. Ever since you were, you know, a young guy at Syracuse University slandering playoff Rondo. And at times, folks,
like last Tuesday,
your old buddy Kevin Wildes has been treated like a Rockets layup by LeBron James and our friend Nick Wright. I say, hey, admit that you're nervous about the Blazers. Blammo! Into the first row. Hey, admit that you're scared about Cam Newton and Bill Belichick coming into Arrowhead. Boom! Pinned against the backboard. Hey, admit that Kawhi's load management is a smart strategy and sets him up for playoff success. Pinned over into the family section. But now, your old friend Kevin Wildes isn't a quitter. 21 points, 8 for 11, 3 for 5 from 3, and 9 assists. I get a text from Nick whispering,
oh no,
playoff Rondo might be real. So Nick, I would like you to admit now
that was a private text,
wholeheartedly.
That was not for air.
100%.
Yeah.
But he showed you the phone.
In playoff Rondo and the ability for him to carry LeBron James and the Lakers to victory.
Okay, all right. So, all right, as always, you take it 3 steps too far. But here is what is true. Rajon Rondo has not been, it's not that he's been okay in the 2 regular seasons he's played with the Lakers. In the 2 regular seasons he's played with the Lakers, he has been the worst player on the team. The worst plus minus.
Oh, no, stop it.
There's no lineup that has worked. No, hold on. Wait, I'm going to bring this around. And I had to me, I had no choice but to believe that is who he was at this point. There were folks. It is a very eclectic group. There's a college professor at Grand Valley State, Lou Moore, who I follow on Twitter, who loves playoff Rondo, Kendrick Perkins, who adores playoff Rondo, and Kevin Wildes. That triumvirate have just been trying to beat into my brain, just wait for the postseason. Wait for the postseason. And then the postseason comes around, he's hurt, and then his first game in the playoffs that he plays, the Lakers lose, and he looks terrible. I'm like, okay, he is what he is at this point in his career. And then, Brandon, something happened in these last 2 games to where I might have to open my mind up that playoff Rondo really is still a thing. That Brandon, maybe it's because he comes into the league
it's those moments.
And in year 2 he's on he's winning a title. And so like maybe because he had so many playoff moments early, the regular season bores him. I don't know what it is. But Brandon, this player didn't exist for the last 2 years in a Lakers uniform.
Yeah, here's what's happening, right? This is why it's such a shocker, because it's about those moments. There comes a point in the game as players and fans where we know this is the time to separate, whether it's in the 3rd quarter, the 4th quarter. And in those moments, Rondo is hitting the big shot. Westbrook's not, Rondo is. And that's why we're talking about Rondo the last couple of days, is because he's playing huge in those big moments.
So all right, we'll just leave it there, but I will tell you. No, hold on, Nick. I just have to tell you that my dad just texted and said, can you add me to that list? He loved Rondo when he was in Boston. It was important for him that I got that out, and I said that to you. We're going to get back to this game. We got a lot of Giannis to talk about coming up, but we'll talk about football on the other side. The Cardinals backing up the Brinks truck for DeAndre Hopkins.